Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my Thursday nights All Right for Talkin live stream. I wanted to put this together this evening, basically just to do a live stream because it's been a while since I had one, and one of the things I wanted to do, particularly when I changed careers recently, was have more time for things like this. And it seems like, if anything, I've had less time. So I thought I would throw this out there this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are, and just try to get a little bit of conversation going and see how everyone's doing. And so far, it's looking a lot like I'm talking to myself because I'm not seeing anybody show up in the stream. There we got Christopher Ondo. Got my daughter asleep just in time. Good. Glad you got her to sleep. And glad you joined me here this evening. Wade is here. Hello, Wade. How are you? If you guys missed the intro that I did a couple of minutes ago, I just wanted to do a live stream this evening. Excuse me. Because it's been a while since I did one, and I thought it's Thursday night. There's not much going on, really not much on TV worth watching. So I thought I would put this out there and hopefully give everybody a chance just to come in here and have some good conversation. Krembly is here with Soup Soba, which reminds me of the soba truck back when I was in Japan. Hot 8 is here. Glad to see you, Hot. Just came in from planting your garden. Good. I hope it grows well. When I was a kid, my grandparents had a garden that was roughly the size of Pennsylvania. And I used to have to go out there with them every year and help plant things. And I absolutely despised pulling weeds when I was a kid. Yeah, but I would have to go out and pull weeds from around all the things in the garden. And then later on, have to help go out, obviously, and get the things from the garden. And when I was a kid, just absolutely hated that. And for all the world, I wish my grandparents were still here and I could go back and help them with their garden. It's just one of the things. It's amazing how your perspectives change and your thoughts change as you grow up. Jonathan S. is here. Got off work and got this notification. Going to be a good evening. Good. Glad you're here, Jonathan. And another Jonathan Jackson is here. Says, doing fine. Just the rest of us being crazy right now regarding, oops. And that message just went away before I could finish reading it. Hot 8 says, I'm too old for that. I doubt that. Sergeant Major Trapp is here. Thanks for joining us, Sergeant Major. It says, hello, Chief. Hope the new job is going well. It is. It's been an interesting change of pace. A lot of different things. There are elements of this new job that remind me a lot more of things from back when I was in the Marine Corps than my law enforcement career. But still, it's been very interesting. We had an exercise this week that involved Homeland Security and FEMA, so that was kind of interesting. Just a lot of different sort of things that I'm doing these days. So it's been Scott DeBrew is here. Says, hello from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Hello, Scott. Thanks for joining. And Jonathan Jackson says, I'm doing fine, Mr. Funk. Hope you are too. Good. Glad to hear that, Jonathan. Rich Powers is here. Says, good evening, HR and everyone. Thanks for joining us, Rich. I don't know if you've all been keeping up with the news and things that are going on recently, but it seems like every time you turn around, there's something else weird happening, like pipeline computers being hacked and things like that. And I'm hoping everyone across the country is doing well and getting through this. I hope we're finally winding down from the virus. It's kind of looking that way. So hopefully that will continue going that direction, and we'll see some of these ridiculous restrictions we've been living with for the last year or so finally fade away into the past. That'll be extremely nice. Luke B is here. Says, good evening and checking in from Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us, Luke. Jonathan Jackson, what do you think about the gas shortage going on and the Israel-Gaza attack? I'll have to take those one at a time. The gas shortage as a result of the pipeline hack, my feeling on that is somebody's got some explaining to do. As I understand it, that was a ransomware attack, and ransomware requires somebody to click on something and go to somewhere on the internet and usually allow a download to the computer or whatever. So somebody involved with that pipeline apparently was going somewhere they shouldn't have been going, or clicking on something they should not have been clicking on. And I don't know, like I said, maybe it was a completely innocent mistake. And maybe, again, somebody's got some explaining to do. The Israel-Gaza attacks, the thing that strikes me about that is how little coverage there's been, especially with regard to who is conducting the attacks. I finally heard recently that it sounds like Iran is behind the attacks and basically backing Hamas, who's actually conducting the attacks. But you just keep hearing, missiles striking in Israel and one thing and another, and nothing about who's actually doing it. I think that's suspicious, actually. Luke B says, my line of work, I have weekly meetings about protection from ransomware, and we're a tiny company. Yeah, for something like a major oil pipeline in this country, or that supplies this country, for that type of thing to happen, I don't know. Again, it could have been completely innocent. Could have been a situation where somebody really thought they were doing something they were supposed to be doing, but it just makes me wonder. Stephen Conley is here, says good evening. Good evening to you, Stephen. Alaska One, Andy. How are you? Thanks for joining. 18 Wins Again is here. Good. Says hello from Southeast Virginia. Just want to say hi. Glad to see you, and congrats on the new position. They're fortunate to have you. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Jonathan S., what are your thoughts on the Delta Point Micro for EDC? You know what? I don't know much about that other than what I've read about it, and I watched a little bit on YouTube. I'd like to get one of those things in to test it. It seems kind of interesting. It seems like a good idea to get that really small profile for a micro red dot optic, but until I actually get to handle one and shoot it a little bit and see what I think of it, I don't have much of an opinion. Sorry. Rick C., coverage is bad for Biden, so we get none. Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, the Ohio governor, and I heard this on Russia's show last week, the Ohio governor was supposedly spotted somewhere violating his own mask mandate, and there has been nothing about that in local news. Had I not heard it on Russia's show, I would not have even known of it. So it's amazing what gets covered in the news and what does not. Luke B., a Russian hacker group sold their software to whomever hacked Colonia. Yeah, and I heard something. There was a news conference the president did today where he was talking about, the people responsible for this were in Russia and one thing and another. And somehow we're going to do something to hold them accountable. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. Small potatoes, our electronic grid is just as vulnerable. Yeah. When you think about things like that, and everything nowadays has some sort of a computer component to it. Runs through the internet, runs off the internet, has computers involved. When you think about what all could be impacted by something like that, it's pretty frightening. Mainstream media and DNC are indistinguishable. I have to agree with you on that. Yeah, usually about the only news that I watch is Fox, and even with Fox, I watch Fox and Friends in the morning. Sometimes I watch Tucker Carlson in the evening. Sometimes I'll watch The Five or something like that. But even with them, you have to be a little selective as to what you're watching and who you're listening to. Jonathan S., not sure I can believe it was Russia. Seems like that's always a convenient scapegoat for political shenanigans. You're right. Just knowing what I know from a lot of computer scams and things like that, I know a lot of them initiate in Russia. And we've had situations when I was still chief of police where, somebody would fall victim to one of these scams, and some of them came back to Russia, other ones came to other parts of the world, but that was one of the prime suspects, one of the usual suspects if you're a Casablanca fan. Luke B., it's a mess, that's for sure. Keep your family safe and happy you work from there. Thank you. Luke B. says Russians didn't hack Colonial. but the software tools were Russian. All right. Well, hopefully they'll figure out whoever it was and figure out a way to prevent that sort of thing from happening in the future. But looks like we got a pretty good group so far this evening. I'm probably going to go for about an hour tonight. Probably go to about 8 o'clock and just try to have some fun. And hopefully, like I said, everybody will have some good conversation going back and forth here. So far, we've had a pretty lively discussion going on, and everyone's and when I read the chat over here, and right now it almost looks like it's frozen for a second. So I don't know if it's taking a little bit for everybody to continue going there or what's happening. That's why I'm sort of rambling on here. I'm waiting for the next question or the next comment to come up and continue things on here a little bit. But again, I appreciate you all being here. News from the channel. I've had a couple of videos this past week. I had one of them with staging the trigger for a revolver to manage the trigger better for accurate shooting. If you didn't see that one, or if you did see that one and you got something from it, I'm glad. I've got another one coming up next Saturday or day after tomorrow, Saturday. And it's a review that I've been wanting to do for a while. This is going to be on my recently purchased Palmetto State Armory AR-15 pistol, which is one, like I said, that's a review that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to get that thing out, get it in front of the camera, and I finally accomplished that. So that review, again, is going to be coming up on Saturday. And with a little bit of luck, I'll get out in the next day or so and record another video. Between the requirements of my new job and the weather around here and my family requirements, it seems like time is always at a premium, and trying to get out to the range or even in the shops trying to get some videos recorded sometimes is quite a challenge. But I'm going to try to get some more of that done this weekend. And we did get some more comments on here. And let's see. Bill Foots is here, says, HR, do all the unfortunate police shootings bother you? Keeping your own community, trusting you. It says, I trust you. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, shootings, whether it's people shooting police officers or police officers having to shoot other people, always bother me. That's the last thing you want to happen on either end. Obviously, you don't want police officers to be ambushed in their cruisers or any of the other things that we've seen here over the last year or so. But at the same time, I don't want to see police officers in the position where they have to use that sort of force against another individual, because even that can have ramifications, as we've seen with federal government. I really wish, for whatever good wishing does, that things would calm down some. And where are we here? Stephen Simpson is here. Good evening, Stephen. Thanks for being a channel member. Libra7 says, yep, we never take any resource for granted. The SCADA systems network is vulnerable. SCADA systems are digital signals used to convert mechanical processes like valves and switches. Okay. 18 wins again. Do you think Putin is shaking in his... No, I don't think Vladimir Putin is shaking in his shoes over anything our current president might do. Bill Thomas II turned off the satellite CAC television. I'm not sure what that is. Television quite a few years ago. Okay. General Nutbeg says, hello, HR. How are you doing today? Doing well. Thank you for joining. Joe Morgan is here. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining in. Hope your family is doing well. Mr. Booch says, Mr. Funk, your preference, Colt 1911A1 or CZ75? I'm a former Marine from the 1980s, so I like the CZ75. It's a great pistol, but if I have to pick between one or the other, it's going to be the 1911. Hot 8 just got a Walther PDP for a customer. We went out to the range and fired a few rounds. What a nice shooter. If you get a chance, try one out. Yeah, those things have been getting a lot of press lately and a lot of YouTube time. And I did see one at a shop a week or so ago. So if I get my hands on one, I'll try to get out and shoot it and get in front of a camera and let you know what I think about it. There were some things on it that I saw sort of a historical lineage from the older Walders, like the P99 and things like that. So I think this is probably just an evolution of those older Walder designs, which were pretty good in their own right. Rick C., do you have any thoughts on the Springfield Armory XDM 10 millimeter? No, other than I'd like to get a hold of one and try it out. That's my thought. Eric Gagnon, good afternoon from Arizona. Good afternoon, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Quick question for high power shooting. Do you prefer the straight spotting scope or an angle spotting scope? I prefer the angle spotting scope. So particularly when I'm in a prone position or even in a sitting position, it's angled and all I have to do is lean over and I can see through the scope with my non-shooting eye and then come back into my shooting position. If it's a straight lens or a straight scope, you have to lean farther over to try to see that. And a question about the magnification, 16 by 45 or 20 to 60. 20 to 60 is nice if you're trying to see your shot holes. If you're on a range where they're actually marking the targets for you, pulling the targets, marking them, and putting them back up, you can get by with the 16 by 45 as long as you have good quality glass. If not, then you need that extra magnification and you need good quality glass to try to see those shot holes. Trying to see anything beyond 200 yards is pretty difficult. With really good scopes, you can see your impacts with a 30 caliber bullet from 300 yards as long as your lighting conditions are good. What's your favorite color? Orange. Crembley Q. How about the push to weed out conservatives in the military, new soy boy military, our hallowed Paris Island, training men and women together. I was just watching a documentary last night on Marine Corps boot camp, and that's the first time I've seen the mixed platoons, and I just wonder how well that's going. And I think back about when I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in boot camp, I don't even know how they can use the same running, the songs we used to sing when we were running or the chants we used to do when we were marching. Probably 50 or 60% of them have to go out the window when you have a mixed platoon, let alone some of the other things that used to go on. So I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The Marine Corps is still turning out Marines, and the Marines that I've talked to over the last year or two, and I actually a former Marine working for, actually two of them, former Marines working for me when I was still chief of police, and they were still Marines. So I'm hoping that's still what we continue to see moving forward. Joe Morgan, we are taking my dad out shooting. Finally found some 38 range ammo for him. Good. That's good to know, Joe. I'm glad. Massman 1980 says, "Hey Chief, hope all is well with you and your family. On a good note, recently added nickel-plated Smith & Wesson Model 19 Mint 40, Model 19 and a Mint 4516-1 transitional model 645. Cool. That is extremely cool. And that reminds me of tonight's non-firing replica firearm. This is a non-firing replica of a Smith & Wesson Model 29-3 with a nickel finished. This is among the last nickel finished Smith & Wesson revolvers back when they regularly used a nickel finish. And this is one that I added to my collection because of one of my favorite movies, and the main character in that movie carried this exact revolver, and that was Lone Wolf McQuade with Chuck Norris. So that's the one that I added, and I've had this revolver now for probably the better part of 15 years, maybe longer. And hopefully someday I'll be able to get it to function, but for now, it's a non-firing replica. And where were we over here? Joe Morgan went out shooting twice in a week. Then the car died. I remember you said that you had car problems and got it fixed. So I'm glad you got it fixed at least. General Nutmeg, have you ever carried a 1911 outside of the Marines? If so, what are some important tips you would offer when you conceal carry a 1911? First off, yes, I have carried a 1911. since I left the Marine Corps. And if you're trying to carry it concealed, so much of it depends on your clothing, and that is dictated by the weather in whatever region of the country you live in. If you are somewhere where you can wear, heavy coats during the winter or something like that, it's much easier to conceal a 1911 than if you're somewhere in a warmer climate where you're constantly wearing a t-shirt and shorts and things like that. I think it would be very difficult in those real warm climates to try to conceal that particular type of firearm. But in the colder climates, especially if you employ like a shoulder holster or something like that, then it becomes a lot easier. And I made a video about a year ago about concealing larger handguns. So you might want to go back and take a look at that and just see if there's anything in there that might be helpful for you as well. And Joe Morgan went out shooting twice. Okay, that's the part that I already read. Nick Knox is here from Delaware. Thanks for joining. Eric, no problem. Don't mind answering the questions. I'm glad you guys ask questions, because otherwise I sit here and try to grope for things to say. So when I get the questions or the comments I can respond to, that really helps. Mburf17 is here. It says, hey to you. Sam Flynn, Jody. Yeah, Jody was a prominent fixture in the old marching and running songs. LCS is here. Shot a Manhurin. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Manhurin 73 the other day. Best shooting revolver ever fired. Yeah, I saw something about that. Apparently, Beretta is now importing those. And there was something on TFB blog, and there's some other videos out there. So I would be interested to shoot one just to see what I think of it. Everything I've ever heard has been very positive. I knew what you meant, Sam. David Gilliland, hope I'm pronouncing that right, says, hello, everyone. Late to the party. Glad you made it, David. Joe Morgan is cheering for the non-firing replica. Holy Dirty Harry. Noor Elahi says, I have a question on everybody's minds, Klingons or Romulans? They were okay, but the Klingons were the real bad guys for true Trekkies. Beer Keg Garage says, hey, what's up? Not much. Glad you joined us. Thanks for tuning in. Neurali says, blasphemy. Rich Power says, you have some awesome non-firing replica. Well, I go to nonfiringreplicas.com, and that's where I find all those. Can't trust either Klingons or the Romulans. Logica Redu is here. Thanks for joining us, Logica. And Jeff Sams is here. I always enjoy seeing the regular crew show up here. For any of you that don't know, when I do the premiere videos, especially on Saturday, we've got this regular group that tunes in, and it's kind of like old home week, to the point that I almost feel like nobody's really watching the videos because they're all saying, hey, how's it going? What'd you do this week? And, how's the family and this and that? And but it's great because it's this great little online community that's sort of formed around the channel, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy all of you that tune in for those premieres, and the members of the channel, and all of you that are tuning in tonight as well. But it's just a tremendous thing that has kind of sprung up around this YouTube channel, and just tremendous group of viewers out there. Thank you very much, all of you, for watching and for participating this evening. And with all that said, let's look back over here because I'm missing a bunch of comments. Libra 7, some good George Thompson de-escalation. Even non-LEO citizens can benefit from verbal judo. Okay. Jonathan S., my girlfriend bought her first gun a few weeks ago, Smith & Wesson M&P 9 compact. Do you have any good holster recommendations for concealment for women? She's having a hard time finding good. You know, it is more difficult for women to find good concealment methods than it is for men. Partly because women's clothes are different. You know, most of the time, women's clothing fits more tightly to their body. They don't have pockets. Why do they make fake pockets in women's clothing? I don't understand that. But, you know, they don't have real pockets, or if they do, they're not the size pockets like we do. To try to answer your question, she might want to look at something like a holster purse or something like that. There are drawbacks to that as well, but many times that's an easy way for a woman to carry a firearm, especially, you know, if she doesn't dress in such a manner that's going to help her conceal other types of holsters or what have you. Beer Keg Garage, I need a 365 XL Romeo. Going to buy one here soon. Okay, good. General Nutmeg, okay, thank you for the video recommendation. Okay, thank you. Mark C says, hey, Funkmeister. Hey, Mark. Stephen Conley, I live in Connecticut and have concealed a Glock 19 year round for 3 years. Recently been thinking of changing to a 1911 45 ACP. Thoughts? I would say if you're going to make that change, first off, shoot the 1911 a lot. Get used to working with that safety. Get used to the trigger. It's going to feel different to you. It's going to point differently than a Glock, especially if it's a full-size 1911. Do a lot of work with an empty pistol, presenting it from whatever cover garment or from underneath whatever cover garment you're going to use. Get very used to that pistol because it's just going to feel different than a Glock. It's going to be heavier than your Glock 19, and it's going to just be a little bit different animal for you. So do a lot of training with it. When you get comfortable working with it unloaded, then get to the range and work on actually presenting it and firing it. So if you ever would be in a situation where you'd have to defend yourself, you could do that competently and not have to worry about some other kind of issues from stray bullets or potentially even injuring yourself or not being able to fire accurate shots and then suffering some injury from whoever's trying to attack you in the first place. Massman 1980 says, I own Lone Wolf McQuaid. I'm going to buy that, I think, on Apple TV one of these days. I haven't done. Says that Revolver is beautiful. My Model 19 is a -3. Cool. Can you advise what decade that model might have been manufactured? It was manufactured in the 80s. It would have been probably the mid-1980s. I could look it up in my standard catalog of Smith & Wesson, but like I said, that would have been toward the end of the era when they regularly made nickel-finished firearms. And now I got to find where we were. Jason Walls says, afternoon, hope all is well. Thank you, Jason. Noor Lai, thanks for answering my silly question. Love your videos. Keep up the great work. No problem. I'm a lifelong Trekkie. That might make me a nerd to everybody instantly, but grew up watching Star Trek, so I thought it was a funny question. I enjoyed it. Scott Person, thoughts on state with absolute sobriety as part of CCW? Haven't heard about that one, Scott. I can't comment too much on it. I think that's probably some wishful thinking is the way it strikes me. Jeremy Whitwell, are there any M14 barrels between 18 and 22 inches? Would have to go custom. 18 is too short for a bayonet and 22 is too ungainly. I don't know of any, unless you can get a custom manufacturer to make you one. Generally, it seems like they go from 18 down to 22 and then down to 16 and a quarter. So I'm not familiar with any that are somewhere between 18 and 22. Joe Morgan says, I get up extra early for the premieres and enjoy them. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. Rick C, any experience with Charter Arms revolvers? I know you get what you pay for, but stumbled across an 8-shot 22 recently. Couldn't pass up. Interestingly, I have one here that somebody loaned me to try out. It's I believe it's 22 Magnum, and he was telling me it's got some trigger issues, So I'm going to try to shoot it and see what I can come up with on that. But I don't have a lot of experience with charter arms. I've shot a couple of them. I shot a bulldog pug in 44 Special years ago. I think it's one of those situations where if you have one and it works well for you, great. If you have one and it doesn't work well for you and you can't get it repaired, then you might want to look for something else. Mark C., have you shot the Thunder Ranch revolvers? No, I haven't. I keep seeing them. I'd like to, but I've not shot one yet. Nick Knox, Sulu was always suspect and still is. George Takei is kind of a different sort of individual. Logic Redo, wife loves her 380 EZ. Good. And one of the guys that I work with now just got a 380 EZ for his wife. And he was telling me that she's got some hand strength issues and has a hard time hand cycling the slide on something like a Glock. So they got that. And I'm waiting to hear a report back for how that's working for her. Rifleman 2.0 says, how's the new gig? Trying to get caught up on the videos. It's going well. I was saying a little while ago, it's different. There's been a lot of things to learn. There are elements to it that remind me a lot more of back when I was in the Marine Corps. But all in all, it's been going very well. So thanks for asking. Catch Jitsu, Dan the Wolfman is here. I'm glad to hear that. Says, I'm here as well. Half a tank of gas. Wait a second. Half tank of gas, as many others at $2.99. Going to try to wait until Sunday. Yeah, I hope you make it, and hopefully the gas is going to start to come down as that oil starts to flow through the pipeline again. Mr. Burf 17 or M Burf 17, love your black powder revolver video. Thank you. The non-firing replica this evening was almost a black powder revolver, but then I opted for the Model 29. Catch Jitsu. Looks like he's talking to somebody else. You're welcome, Stephen. No problem. Rifleman 2.0, 1911 takes a bit of transitioning to get used to. Shield 9mm. Kremley Q, Job Firearms Academy on YouTube has lots of women carrying videos. Okay, there's a resource you might want to look into. Libra 7, enjoying my Ruger American Pro 45. It's rated for constant plus B. Good. That's the one thing about Rugers. They're generally very strong. Built like a tank. Good. Frankie Hernandez is here. It says, thanks for all you do, HR Funk. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. CJ is here. Hello to you. Thanks for being a channel member. Sergeant Major Trapp. I use a variety of 1911 pistols here in Florida for carry. Wear a lightweight vest, even on our hot, humid weather, is no problem. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with just the fact that you're very used to it. I think if I went down there and tried to do that, I would probably die of some sort of heat illness. Of course, then again, still in the middle of March, I woke up this morning and it was only a few degrees above freezing. So that's kind of just the difference that we have in the different regions of the country. It did warm up during the day, at least. Scott Person, NX has absolute sobriety as part of the CCW law. Cannot carry if you consume any alcohol. Ohio is kind of like that. You can't consume any alcohol. If you're carrying and you go into a liquor establishment or something like that, you can't consume any alcohol, and you obviously can't be under the influence of alcohol if you're handling or carrying a firearm. Rich Powers, Jonathan S. My daughter recommends crossbreed holsters. All right. Andrew Peterman is here. Howdy, Andrew. And Chris Ciampo. Glad you made it, Chris. Sergeant Major, when carrying 1911s, I use primarily a vetter inside the waistband with a claw attachment. Holds the weapon against your body. All right, good to know. Massman 1980, last question. Any info or experience with the Smith & Wesson 559 9mm. Apparently, it's identical to the 459, but steel framed. Uh, Only that I'm aware of it. I've never shot one. I've shot the third generation 6906, which was all stainless steel, or excuse me, 5906, which was all stainless steel. And of course, I have a 5904, which has the alloy frame, but I've never actually shot or handled a 559. Dan O'Neill, my Charter trigger was dragging on the frame. Last part of the trigger pull, took a small bit of metal off the bottom of the trigger guard. No drag after that. Good. And that's kind of one of the things I'm hearing about Charter arms. I know another gentleman that owns a couple and just bought a new one, and he was talking about a little bit of the metal, different places was raised, and he had to grind a little bit of it off because there were some sharp edges and one thing and another. So I think just probably because of the lower price, they don't get quite the fit and finish of some of the more expensive revolvers out there. My freezer was a 4-door. Mark Jones is here from Ireland. Thanks for joining us, Mark. LC, my two buddies and I are sitting here sipping on some Irish whiskey, watching your broadcast, and debating the following. I have 3 Smith & Wesson 22 handguns, 17-3 Victory, and a 422. What's the debate, though? By the way, I would love to have a 17. I don't have one of those. I had a 617 once upon a time, a 4-inch that was a 10-shot, and it was a nice revolver, but I ended up trading that for something else. I would really like to have a 17. I've got a Model 18 that I really like. If I could keep only one, which would it be? Any thoughts? Oh, between the 17-3 and the 422, I'd be keeping the 17-3. That's just me. Classic revolver. Libra 7, 6-inch steel plate. I'm thinking that must be a comment that or a conversation that's going on with someone else. Okay, Joe Morgan, forgot to tell you on my adventure today at the store there were 4 California transplants carrying unloaded guns open. All right, that's interesting. So I talked to them. They didn't know that the law changed for them to be able to carry. All right, yeah. I feel bad for the people in California because of all the laws that they have to contend with, and then as they change, and people might not get the word on it or whatever. That's one of the places where, like I said, I empathize with the firearms owners who live there. Okay, Sergeant Major. So you got down all the way to 72 last night. Wow. Okay. I'm feeling pretty bad for you. When I woke up this morning, I think it was 34 when I walked outside the door. Jacob Ayers says, "Hey HR, how you doing? Doing well, Jacob. Thanks for joining us." Frankie Hernandez says Florida is equally strict. I assume you're talking about the alcohol, and yeah, it's generally alcohol and firearms don't mix. I'm sipping a little bit of scotch tonight, but I'm not going to be handling anything other than when I showed you the non-firing replica there a little while ago. Mark C says your CZ75 video was good. I have a PCR with a trigger job. Cool. And I got that CZ P01 a while back that I really like. What a nice little firearm that is. Dan Byers is here. Good evening to you. Wild Tech says, today here in Central Texas, I was able to find 556 ammunition and 45 ACP ammunition on the shelf. That's good. And I've been starting to see ammunition come back here. The one thing I'm not seeing is the price coming down very quickly. So I'm hoping that we start to see that normalize a little bit again, and we can get back to doing a little bit more shooting. And I still have not seen reloading components for months, especially primers. And where are we here? Mark C says, don't do the trigger unless you are used to a real light trigger. Mark Nagel or Nagel. Mr. Funk, quick question. What YouTube channels do you watch? Paul Harrell, Mix-Up, 98, Hickok, etc. I've said this before. People have asked me that in the past. One of the things when you are recording YouTube videos, you don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube, because if I've got time, I'm recording a video, or I'm editing a video, or I'm uploading a video, or whatever. I do watch a few YouTube channels when I can. Once in a while, I'll try to catch a Such video, Mr. Guns and Gear, Honest Outlaw, Graham Bates. I kind of like his. I like to watch Dan the Wolfman on catchjitsu.com. I find his videos interesting. Val from Bald and Curious. I like to watch his videos. So I enjoy it. It's the people that I kind of know that I like to watch their videos and see what they come up with. Rick with Black Rifle, and just again, I almost look at this more as a friendly venture where everybody's kind of looking at what everybody else is doing and having a good time, than I do any kind of competition or anything like that. So I do watch some of the bigger channels from time to time, but I don't watch any YouTube all that often. And like I said, a lot of times when I do, I'll watch some of my friends and just see what they've been up to. Gun Sam is another one I like to watch. Let's see, where are we here? Dan Byers, really enjoying the revolver tips the other day. Good. And I think I'm going to do some more. I might do a revolver reloading video coming up, just to try to give some pointers on that as well. Joe Morgan says they all moved from California to Idaho. So happy that they could have the right to concealed carry, although magazines had to be in the trunk of a car. That's unfortunate. Jacob Bayer, CZ75 is an amazing pistol. To be honest, if it was able to be entered in the pistol trials in the 1980s, I think it would have beat the Beretta. That would have been interesting. And when you go back and you look at the M9 trials, even to this day, and now we're talking almost 40 years ago, trying to come up with really good concrete information on the M9 trials is very difficult. I can get sketchy information. I know basically the pistols that were entered. The one thing that always kind of mystifies me is it looked like the Smith & Wesson 459 did pretty well through the trials, and it wasn't really even considered at the end. It came down to the Beretta and the SIG. And there was some sort of political component to that or whatever, but it just, I don't know. Like I said, it's just very, very difficult to get concrete information, even to this day, on the M9 trials. And where are we here? Libra 7, Wall of Remington 230 jacketed hollow point. Seen at Shells in Edina, Minnesota this week. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hot 8 got 2,000 Remington 9mm, and Remington is back in production. That's what I keep hearing, that they're back in production. I've not seen any Remington ammo on the shelves yet, but I'm hoping to see it soon. Crumbly Q has, you can't fake the fun. Meetup day been set at Camp Peria. No, not yet. Oh, by the way, did you guys see the T-shirt suggestion that I put out there a few days ago? There's a gentleman that wants to make T-shirts for the channel, and I had this idea for a T-shirt years ago. This came up to me with this idea of a thumbtack and a target with a bullet coming toward it, and at the top it says, "Some days you're the bullet, some days you're the tack." If you didn't see that, go back and look at my community post. I've got it up on there. I thought it was funny, but something I'm thinking about. And like I said, this gentleman wants to make T-shirts for the channel. Jason Walls, where I live in West Virginia, picked up 200 rounds of 40 for $21 a buy. That's great. That's really good. Rick C, PA has some fairly new medical marijuana law, which doctors are pushing. But if you read the law, they give you 60 days to surrender your guns. Oh, my Lord. To accept the card. That seems like great incentive not to do it. Catch Jitsu, thank you. I'll add Lion Quest Fitness, Kentucky Patriot, and Gun Sam also kind of become friends. And my fights with martial arts YouTuber. Yeah, and I told you the other day on the phone, I watched that one video that it kind of cracked me up just seeing the way that all went. But yeah, Dan the Wolfman has some entertaining videos if you guys are at all interested in the martial arts. And shooting. He does shooting videos too. AB says, howdy everyone. God bless all of you. Mr. HR, please forgive if this has already been asked, but what do you think of the Manurin 357 that Beretta's in? Somebody did ask that a while ago. I think it's interesting. Everything has been really positive on it. You know, I keep hearing what a great quality revolver it is and how easy it is to shoot well. So if I can get my hands on one, I'll give you my opinion of it. They're expensive, so they're about 2 or 3 times the price of comparable revolvers, or maybe I should say Smith & Wesson revolvers. Colt revolvers obviously are fairly expensive in their own right. But yeah, if I can get a hold of one, I'll give you a better opinion of it. Rider 54 is here saying good evening all. Good evening to you. Jacob Ayers, to be honest, all I really know about the M9 trials is that the SIG was declared the better gun, but the 92 had the cheaper parts. The 92 was cheaper all the way around when they looked at the entire package with the pistol itself, which I think the pistol itself was slightly more expensive, but for all of the replacement parts that were necessary to keep it running for whatever period of time, the overall package for the M9, at least allegedly. Libra 7, I also have a Noisy Cricket, the Ruger LC-RX 22 Magnum Noisy Cricket. There's a tip of the hat to the Men in Black movies. Wild Tech, still waiting on Remington ammo. Me too. I'll be glad to see it on the shelves again. Libra 7, I'm a 40 guy mostly. Love the 155 and 135 grain loads. I always like the mid-range loads, the 155s and the 165s. But I know the 135s had a pretty good reputation there for a while. So, I think when it comes to ammunition, pick what makes you feel the best and what you know functions in your firearm, and carry that. And you're going to be probably as well armed as you can be. We get into the minutia sometimes of, this grain bullet at this velocity and this and that. As long as it's a good quality defensive load, I think you're going to be pretty well off. LC, my man Hearn was $3,100. Wow. Yep, that's what I said. They're not cheap. Joe Morgan, I'm in the 9mm for practical reasons, but 45 I love more. But it's a lot to carry my gym shorts. Yeah, trying to carry a 1911 with just a elastic waistband gym shorts, that would be a challenge. Jonathan Jackson says, hey, Mr. Funk, have you ever tried to shoot a BFR revolver from Magnum Research? No, but one of my friends just purchased one. In fact, I think he was just going to pick it up today, and he was talking about loaning it to me for a review, and I think it was chambered for the 4570, if I remember correctly. So you might be seeing one of those fairly soon. I'm almost afraid to shoot that thing. Steve Detweiler is here. How you doing, Steve? Thanks for joining. Stefano Pavone is here. Thank you for joining us, Stefano. Catch Jitsu, some Manurin 38s pre-COVID were like $440. Really? I don't think I heard about that. Regretting missing that. Bud's got critical duty 9mm ammunition yesterday. But it's probably sold out by now. Jacob Ayers, those Manhurin course are the Rolls Royce of wheel guns. And that's kind of the way they come across. Libra 7, Federal 165 grain Hydroshock is a good low recoil favorite. It's loaded to lower the normal 40 cal pressure, more like the standard pressure 9mm. Vince Holcomb, what is your most trusted 357 carry load? I like a good 158 grain semi-jacketed hollow point. That's just me. I know a lot of people like the 125s. I don't have anything against the 125s. I just like the heavier bullet for a little bit better penetration. Dan Byers, oh man, what a hand jolt the big bore cartridges are. Yeah. Like I said, if I end up shooting that BFR with the 4570 lows, I don't shy away from recoil. I'm not particularly recoil sensitive, but that might be one that tests my limits. Looks like we're coming up on 52 minutes here, and I said I was going to do this for about an hour. So we got about 7.5 minutes left. So if you guys got any last-minute questions or comments or anything you want to throw out there, by all means do that. And looks like we haven't had anything come up the screen here for a little while. This has been great, though. I mean, you guys have been fantastic. Good questions, good comments. And isn't it interesting? You know, so many times people have problems with trolls or whatever when they do their live chats, and I don't seem to get that. I mean, you guys just you come up with great questions, great comments. You have conversations amongst each other, and you know, it's a rare day that somebody puts something, you know, nasty on one of these or whatever, just something that's anxious or whatever. So it's a lot of fun when we do these. Dan Byers says, oh wait, I read that one already. Jacob Ayers says, HR, are you a Smith & Wesson or Colt guy? I'm a Smith & Wesson guy. That's just me. I assume you're talking about wheel guns. Nothing against the Colts. I've shot the Colts. They're great revolvers. I just tend to come down on the Smith & Wesson side. Steve Detweiler, do you shoot 50 cal or do you own one? Yes, I own and shoot a 50 cal, but it's a Thompson Center side lock muzzleloader. So not a something chambered for the 50 BMG cartridge. Joe Morgan, how's the new job going? Going well. Thanks for asking, Joe. I was talking about that a little while ago. It's been an interesting change of pace for me. We had an exercise this past week that involved Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, so that was kind of an interesting thing to put together. It involved a lot of components, actually, from around the country, all coming together electronically. So that was just something a little different for me. And let's see. Steve Detweiler, what do you know about slap rounds? Not much. And I saw the video where the gentleman from Kentucky Ballistics had his rifle explode, and I know he's using that type of ammunition, but I really don't know anything about it. Rifleman 2.0, I think it's your demeanor, not really a magnet for well, thank you. CJ says, be safe out there. Thank you, CJ. Dan Byers, it's a great time for me to sit in on live chats. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining, Dan. Yeah, and this is one of these times where I had a free evening, not a lot going on. My wife is away. She's got something going on this evening. My daughter's busy, so I didn't have much else to do, so I thought I'd fire up the computer and just try to have a good conversation with everybody. Libra 7, 357 Magnum, 158 grain, semi-jacketed soft points. Used to get for a great deal, but don't mind 38s if the price is good. Okay. Jeff Sams, thanks for another great live stream. You're welcome. Thanks for joining, Jeff. Rick C, I still carry a SIG P239 in 40 caliber. Found anything lighter that is as accurate. Okay. Jeff Tim is here. Thanks for joining, Jeff. Unfortunately, you came in toward the end. We're only going to go for maybe another 5 minutes here, but I'm glad you made it. Jacob Ayers, my uncle told me the difference between the Anaconda and the Model 29 is you can actually shoot the Model 29 with it not going out of time. And I've heard people say other things like that. I've never shot an Anaconda. I've shot pythons, I've shot troopers, I've shot different things, but I've never shot an Anaconda. Catch Jitsu, go back through all your Smith bids and in the descriptions put Smith & Wesson. Maybe you'll get sponsored. I don't know. I would imagine there's a lot of people that are pursuing Smith & Wesson for sponsorships. And I don't know that they would take too much notice of me. Rider 54, do you have any experience with Arcan Optics? No, I don't. Not familiar with them at all. Rich Powers, great live streams. Have a good evening. Stay. Thanks, Rich. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Sergeant Major, the X-Frame 4-inch 500 Smith & Wesson is interesting. Looks easier to carry in the field. It can be a handful depending on the ammo, of course. Yeah, and I've looked at the 500s. I've looked at the 460s, but for my purposes, really the 44 Magnum has always done everything I've wanted it to do, in terms of hunting or anything else that I've wanted. I know there are people that prefer the 500s, people that prefer the 460s, but for me, I'm happiest with the 44s. They do what I need them to do. Like my non-firing replica here. Wild Tex, we really enjoy your channel. God bless. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mark Nagel, hi again. Do you think firearms manufacturers will come up with a working smart rifle? I don't know, and I don't know if I want them to. Think about all the problems we have with our phones. Do we want our firearms to have those kind of complications? I don't know. Jeff Tim, I'm old. Must do a Wheel of Fortune in Jeopardy. I like to watch Wheel of Fortune in Jeopardy too. I think my wife and daughter get tired of seeing it, but I like to play along. Jeff Tim, the only DA-44 Magnum I trust is a Ruger Red Hawk. Oh, I don't know. I trust a lot. I trust the Model 29s and the 629s. They've worked well enough for me. Yeah, the thing is, you have to use ammunition that's basically SAMI spec. People want to put 300 grain bullets and drive them at 2,000 feet per second or something like that, and all of a sudden their revolvers start coming apart. I tend to stick with the standard loads for 44 Magnums, and again, they do everything I need them to do. Steve Detweiler, what do you think of the 930 Mossberg shotgun for self-defense? I have no personal experience with it. So I really hate to comment because, like I said, I haven't used it, so I can't speak intelligently about what I think of it. Rick C says, hit the like button before you all leave. Thanks, Rick. Rifleman 2.0 is leaving. Hey, Semper Fi, take care. Thanks for joining us. Jeff Tim, I'm so old I traded my 44 Magnum for a PCC. Both Rugers. Okay. LC, thanks for an informative and entertaining. Thanks for joining, LC. Appreciate it. Rabbi, you made it. You made it for right at the end. I'm just ready to wrap things up, but I'm glad you made it here. Hopefully you can go back through and watch this thing from the beginning. I just threw this out here on a Thursday night, basically to have some fun, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. Let's see, we got a couple of last comments here. Steve Detweiler, would you do a shotgun comparison series? I might do that in the future. Brad Clossy, is that the way you pronounce it? What's your favorite CLP product? Ballistol. I might do a video in the future on lubes and cleaning products and things like that. That's a good wintertime project when I can't get outside and go to the range. So stay tuned. I might do something on that. Rabbi shopping for a Legion X5 at the moment. Want to put the very best red dot on it that has an auto feature. Any suggestions? I've had good luck with my Loophole Delta Point Pro. I know a lot of people like the I can't think of it. The Trigicon, which is doesn't have an auto off feature, but it just lasts forever and ever. Stay tuned. I'm going to be getting another Hilux red dot pistol optic in the not too distant future, so that might be one to want to take a look at. But like I said, probably right now I would try to nudge you toward the Loophole Delta Point. All right, gang, this has been a lot of fun. We just passed the hour mark. I'm actually coming up on an hour and 3 minutes. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate it's always kind of interesting especially if I do one of these things unannounced, to just see who's going to tune in here. And so far, I've never ended up in a situation where I'm just sitting here talking to myself with nobody joining in. So thank you very much. I appreciate you all for joining. Thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for all the comments and all the support over the years. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good evening, a good weekend. And if you can make it, we've got the premiere video on Saturday morning. It's going to be 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So if you can make it there, please join us, and you'll get to meet the rest of the gang when we all get together for that. And for this evening, I'm good shooting. Bye-bye.